Hello BookTube, I'm Heather and this is Recently Seen Reading, and today I'd like to talk about how much I love an ugly book. One of the things we do when we film the mid-year book freakout tag in its various incarnations is there's a question, a specific prompt that asks us to talk about the most beautiful book we've acquired, whether we've bought it or been given it, or in my case borrowed it. And a lot of the attention on BookTube, I think, gets slotted into interest in and praise of books that are physically beautiful, that have beautiful cover art, or the end papers are gorgeous, or the interior paper is great, or it has the terrible French flaps and deckled edges. But I love an ugly book. In fact, I love this book. This battered, water-stained book. This is a 1942 copy of The Death of the Moth and Other Essays by Virginia Woolf. It came out roughly a year after her suicide, and this is a second printing of the book, and it's battered. I love it. I love this book, this physical instance of this book. So in terms of its text, so the content of a book, it's a series of essays, and it's Woolf being Woolf. The best known of these essays are probably The Death of the Moth, or it's called Street Haunting, London Adventure. She traces her movement through the city in search of a pencil, but really she's just going for a walk. Or an essay about the middlebrow reader, and the term middlebrow comes out of this essay. And lots of short reviews and essays that are all quite fine in the way that Woolf's writing is quite fine. And she has this this gift as a reviewer of making you interested in reading a book you otherwise wouldn't be curious about at all. So, for example, this collection has made me interested in reading a little bit of Horace Walpole, a person I've never considered reading in the past. So the text in this book is interesting, but it's physically a beautiful book to me, even though it is quite clearly an ugly book. All of the marks on it, all of the damage on it, everything that would make this book worth maybe $25 or $30 on the secondhand book market, are very meaningful to me in the way that beautiful books often aren't. The copy of this book that was in pristine condition with its original jacket sells somewhere between $200 and $500, depending on the bookseller and the market. But this book, as it is, it's a library book. It shows its history, and it shows the history of all of the people who handled it and read it, and yes, marked it up. It's got multiple pencil markings. It's got square brackets and squiggles and underlines. Not much writing, so no one's actually written in the book a form of marginalia to respond to it, but the response is clear in the underlined passages. It's clear in the places where the book has torn, where the pages have torn. And the paper in this book is, a conservationist would say that this is very bad paper, and it is very bad paper. It's coarse. It would originally have been as yellow as it is now. Let's see. I'll show you a picture. I'll probably insert some pictures. I think it's going to be very difficult to actually give you a sense without putting some snapshots in. But it's speckled paper, so it's coarse, pulpy paper. And it was made out of the Hogarth Press wartime ration of paper. They had to ration the paper in order to be able to publish this. The other reasons I love this book, this particular copy, is that it tells me a story of where the book physically came from. It bears the embossing of the Nova Scotia Legislative Library and its discard stamp. This book was in that library probably in the 40s, which means it came over probably potentially with a soldier, a sailor, or diplomat, someone who traveled through Halifax in the 40s, so arrived here probably by boat, yes, through the military cordon across the Atlantic, potentially, there's no way of proving that, and arrived in the Nova Scotia Legislative Library, where it sat for a while. I have no way of telling how long it was part of their collection, it's got the marks of, oh, I don't think you can see it, I'll show you here. Here, there's a label been removed, a spine label, and that label would have had a Dewey Decimal number on it. I can tell that because the Dewey Decimal number survives in the interior. Right, let's see, right here. There's the Dewey Decimal number that the Legislative Library would have put on it. And then it was discarded, and at some point it was purchased by the Dalhousie Library System, which is where I borrow this from, and it was catalogued according to here. We've got, let's see, can I get this in the camera? No, here. So at Dalhousie it went into a Library of Congress numbering system, here. So already I have the history of 2 libraries in my hand in this very battered book. I have an accession number here, at the very top here, where the boards are starting to crack away from the book. That's the accession number from the Nova Scotia Legislative Library. That's not a Dalhousie accession number. An accession number is a number usually in pencil added to a book by library staff. The numbers appear in the order in which the book enters the library's records. And in the past, these would have been kept in physical accession books, provided by a company founded by Nelville Dooley. Dalhousie's accession numbers tend to appear, usually on the bottom of a flyleaf here, but it's not included in this book. There are library workers' initials in this book of who processed the book and when. So if I was very, very determined, I could figure out who handled this book at the Legislative Library in the 40s and 50s. I'm not going to do that, but I could if I wanted to. Now, this book is damaged. It's got water damage along all the edges. It's got light damage along the top here, where at one point in its life it sat on a shelf that was exposed to light. It's got, a book plate. The Dal Library no longer put book plates in their books. A lot of these practices disappeared through library automation and staffing changes. But this, I love this book. I covet it, and I have to return it. Legislative Library doesn't have a copy of Virginia Woolf's essays any longer. It doesn't have any Woolf's material. And that makes sense because it's a library now that supports the legislative work of the government. Its collecting policies in the 30s and 40s would have been less well defined. And when it was discarded, it was either given to someone, made its way home with somebody, entered the secondhand book market, or potentially was just given to somebody at Dal and that person gave it to the library. Dal's collection policies in the 40s and 50s were not particularly well defined. There's a process of professionalization that happened in many, especially Canadian academic libraries in the early 1950s. And this book may have entered the library's possession at that point. It's very difficult to tell. But I think ugly books like this, damaged books like this, are worth the kind of praise and attention we give to beautiful books. An ugly book like this is full of meaning, not just the text that's inside of it, but if you can see small markings on the book, small details, and if you can attach them to other concepts and ideas, you can understand a little bit about the physical history of this book and the material conditions of the people who would have borrowed it and read it sometime over the last 60 or 70 years.